Bonjour! Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies. And today I'm going to be doing a movie roundup video where I talk about the movies I watched in the last couple of weeks or so. Now, even though this video says it's all the movies I watched in May 2025 part 2, which is correct by the way, but almost all the films I've seen in the last 2 weeks, aside from the 2 films I saw on the plane, are watched at the Cannes Film Festival, which means this video will be dedicated to films I watched at the Cannes Film Festival this year. So buckle up because I watched a lot of films. In fact, I watched 32 films at the festival this year. So anyways, on the plane to France, I rewatched High and Low by Kurosawa Akira, and I loved it as expected, 10 out of 10. Then, on the same flight, I watched, again, Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster. It's my 3rd time watching it, and it gets better every single time I watch it. I'm sorry if you don't find any enjoyment in this film, because I enjoyed it a lot. To quote my Letterboxd review, this film is about the collapse of society as seen through the collapse of a middle-aged man's mind. A relentless odyssey that seeks to humiliate and make the world as dangerous as possible. There's a fine line between comedy and horror that most filmmakers dare not to cross, and Ari Aster charges through that line head on. Some scenes are so funny, it's concerning, like the logic of the world is challenged, a joke too far gone. 9 out of 10. Anyways, I arrived at Cannes, France. Cannes, France. And I am at the festival. Day 1, I watched The Gold Rush by Charlie Chaplin. Yes, it's not a new film. In fact, it's a Cannes Classics film. It's part of a series of films made. It's part of a series of films screened by Cannes this year because they have been newly restored in 4K. This time it's The Gold Rush by Charlie Chaplin. It's also the first film to be screened in the entire festival, and this film is surprisingly really funny. The first act is just pure slapstick, and then the second act introduces some rom-com, which I thought was sometimes hit or miss, but overall really good. The ending is just really heartfelt. 8 out of 10. Then, day 2 of the festival, I watched Yi Yi, and it's my 3rd time watching it. It looks amazing. This film got my ass crying at Cannes. Too bad the screen was like a trapezium when I watched it, because I was at the Buñuel theater, and if you sit at the side in Buñuel, the screen is just gonna look like a trapezium. 10 out of 10. Then, the first actual new film I watched at Cannes is Sound of Falling, or in German, In die Sonne schauen, which literally means staring at the sun. This film is directed by a pretty new and young director, Masha Shilinsky, and I was at the world premiere of this film. And damn, I can't really make heads or tails with this film. This film is way more avant-garde than I've expected. It's very jumbled, very fragmented, yet I can't tell what's the emotional through line. Sometimes you just have to guess what's the connection between each of the 4 storylines. But whatever the case may be, from what I can tell in this film has a lot to do with suppressed desires, suicidal thoughts, and the male gaze. And the Alma section of the film is just pure gothic mystery, and I really love it. 7 out of 10. Then that night I watched Hard Boiled at the beach, and I left after 20 minutes or so because I can't stand sitting in the sand. Stand sitting. Yes. 8 out of 10. Okay, day 3 of the festival, I watched Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and it's unfortunately very lackluster. All the exposition scenes were pretty insufferable. The action set pieces are pretty good, but not mind-blowing or anything. 6 out of 10. Then I watched Left-Handed Girl by Zhou Shiting. Damn, it's good. Damn, it's good. Obviously, it's more of a Sean Baker film than your usual Taiwanese film, since Sean Baker co-wrote and edited this film. It's a compelling story about a mother and her daughters. Kinda. There's a jaw-dropping plot twist at the end of the film that really stuck with me. The editing is very electric, the whole film is shot on an iPhone, I think, which gives it a very grounded look, and all the performances are amazing. My biggest qualm with the film is that it just ended too fast, but the director follows me on Instagram, so hey, let's collab. No, just kidding. But great film nonetheless, 8 out of 10. Then we move on to day 4 of the festival, and I started off with Sirat by Oliver Lax, and I thought it was just okay. It's a fucked up road movie that takes place in the Moroccan desert, and the first half is just vibes, and the second half is mostly just shock value. It's not as emotional or as powerful as some people make it out to be, and I don't know why this film is getting rave reviews, because I don't think it's that great or anything. Still pretty good, 7 out of 10. Then I watched A Pale View of Hills by Ishikawa Kei. I watched the first 10 minutes of this film and dashed, so doesn't count. Then at night I watched Sons of the Neon Night by Juno Mack. If you didn't know this is a highly anticipated Hong Kong film because this film has been in the making for 8 years already and starring a humongous cast. Unfortunately, I fell asleep through most of it because I was really tired, and I'm pretty sure every single person in that theater that night also fell asleep. Also, it's a world premiere, so I felt really bad. But I just don't get the extreme hate. I feel like everybody in Cannes really hated this film. The production design is amazing, and it's like a film made for die-hard Hong Kong crime thriller fans, so I understand that no one else is gonna get this film. It's gonna fly over the heads of a lot of other people in that theater. The characters are really stale, and the story is needlessly convoluted, but I still need to rewatch it in order to fully give it a fair verdict. For now, a 6 out of 10. Day 5, I watched Mirrors Number 3, written and directed by Christian Petzold. It's a world premiere, and I was sorely disappointed. It started off very interesting with a building mystery, but at some point Christian Petzold was just like, nah, I'ma just stop it there, and doesn't develop the story any further. I don't know, this film just doesn't have the same snappy energy and relationship tension in A Fire, just to be served a dish full of stiff interactions and a somewhat clever premise that never fully taps its potential. It's like when the film is about to reach its climax, it just ends. 6 out of 10. Then I watched Renoir by Hayakawa Chie, also world premiere, and also, unfortunately, kinda disappointed. It's just another very abstract, jumbled, and messy film that doesn't provide any sort of emotional through line. This is a film about an 11-year-old girl who may or may not have telepathic abilities, and it's also a film about her dealing with the loss of her father. It feels like the film was supposed to be way longer because a lot of the scenes felt like they were cut short. There were so many loose ends in this film, and Kawai Yumi was only in it for like one scene. 6 out of 10. Day 6, I watched Eddington by Ari Aster, finally, and I thought it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun with it, even though it's probably the weakest Ari Aster film. I just wish the film would go even crazier and weirder and more absurd. 7 out of 10. Then I watched A Useful Ghost by Ratchaburi Bunchachoke. This is the only Thai film and one of the only Southeast Asian films in the entire festival. And honestly, it's kind of unfair because I only watched the first hour and it was only in French subtitles. This film is about a woman who is reincarnated into a vacuum cleaner and finds her boyfriend and sucks him off. And it's very wacky, it's very funny, it's very bizarre, it's very weird, and from what I've seen, every single shot looks amazing, very colorful, very well framed. But I need to watch the whole thing in order to give this a fully fair verdict. For now, 7 out of 10. Then I watched Kokuho by Lee Sang-il. This is a 3-hour-long Japanese film, an epic, about a kabuki theater actor and his rise and his fall and his rise again. Ken Watanabe is in it. I also saw him, and he is freaking fantastic. This film has a very mainstream approach to editing and cinematography, which was a breath of fresh air at this point for me in the festival. This film is also insanely melodramatic, but you know what? I like that. It is so melodramatic because it fits into kabuki theater traditions as well. 8 out of 10. That night I watched Magellan by Lav Diaz. Then, oh my god, this is easily one of my favorites of the entire festival. This is a period film about Magellan, the Portuguese explorer who colonized the Philippines and many other places. And this film takes a very art house approach to history and colonialism. It is a period film that seems like it isn't aware that it's a period film. It's also very brutal when it comes to showing religious subjugation and violence. And I saw Lav Diaz after the screening and took a photo with him, and he's a really nice guy. 8 out of 10. Day 7. I watched Lucky Lu by Lloyd Lee Choi, and it's a pretty simple social realist film about a Chinese immigrant who is very poor and struggling in New York City. It's a pretty predictable film, but we have some really good performances, and it's just really nice to see Chang Che and Fa La Chen in some random director's debut film for some reason. 7 out of 10. Then I watched Urchin by Harris Dickinson. Yes, the actor Harris Dickinson. And it's a really funny film about a recovering drug addict who is this pathetic homeless guy who keeps relapsing and ruining things. Dickinson takes a very nuanced approach on such a bleak situation. The directing is rather safe and inoffensive, but the film overall is surprisingly lighthearted. 7 out of 10. Then that night, I went to the world premiere of Highest to Lowest by Spike Lee. Man, even though the movie's not good, I'm just so happy that I got to see Denzel Washington getting an honorary palm right in front of my eyes. And man, the first hour was insufferable. The editing was really bad, and the music was awful. The second hour is where it starts getting fun, and that's when A$AP Rocky becomes much more involved in the film. 5 out of 10. Day 8. I watched Alpha by Julia Ducournau, and it's not as bad as some people say it is. It is a medical family drama tragedy about a mysterious disease that turns people into stone, which is allegory for AIDS. The filmmaking here is a bit amateurish, and yes, it's not a very strong allegory, but some of the scenes really just burn into my mind because it's just so freaking gruesome. 6 out of 10. Then I watched Nouvelle Vague by Richard Linklater, and unless you're a die-hard Godard fan, you're just gonna find this movie boring. It's a buddy hangout movie about filmmakers. It's like The Avengers, but instead of superheroes, it's just French filmmakers. And it's pretty charming, but I don't think I'll be revisiting this film anytime soon. 7 out of 10. Then I watched Once Upon a Time in Gaza by Tarzan and Arap Nasser. I slept through a chunk of it, but from what I've seen, it's a really well-made political thriller. It's a surprisingly lighthearted movie, considering how dire and horrifying the situation is in Gaza right now. This film surprisingly has so much fun with itself, yet it's very bleak and sad. I really enjoy it, and I can't wait to rewatch it. 8 out of 10. That night I watched Dangerous Animals by Sean Byrne. It's like a B-picture slasher horror film where Jai Courtney plays a serial killer who feeds tourists to sharks. It's very funny and ridiculous, but also kinda disposable and meh. Either way, I saw Carson Runquist again for the 3rd time in the entire festival that night. 6 out of 10. Day 9, I watched A Simple Accident, or the new English title, It Was Just an Accident, by Jafar Panahi. And ooh, it's a slam dunk, baby. It's a slam dunk. This is a frickin' great film. It's a screwball comedy / political thriller / drama, at times very lighthearted, at times very dark and personal. It takes a very interesting approach to political cinema that reinvestigates the past, and I'm just really happy he won the Palme d'Or. Very well deserved. 9 out of 10. Then I watched The Phoenician Scheme by Wes Anderson, and I had a lot of fun. It's simple, it's straightforward, no-brainer fun, nothing serious. The pacing is so constantly fast, it's awesome. 8 out of 10. Then I watched Exit 8, or Hachiban Deguchi by Kawamura Genki, and it is a surprisingly good adaptation of a video game of the same name. I also love how this film somehow ties the video game into ideas of fatherhood and family, which was very unexpected. Some of the scares are really lame, but I mean, I'm not expecting it to be that good in the first place. Also, Komatsu Nana is in this film, and that's all you need to know. 6 out of 10. That night I watched Girl on Edge by Zhou Jinhao, and I fell asleep through a chunk of it, but from what I was able to see, it's competently shot and edited. It just has very bad writing. The plot twist at the end is so silly, I swear a 12-year-old came up with this. 4 out of 10. Day 10, I watched Sorry Baby by Eva Victor. Surprisingly, this is the highest rated film of the entire festival, but I thought it was just okay. It's a film about a woman who hangs out and has fun, but also deals with trauma. It feels like a stand-up comedy show full of millennial jokes in movie form, and I didn't really like that, but some parts are very heartfelt. But it's a very Sundance film. Now, what the hell is a Sundance film doing at Cannes? I don't know, but I'm giving it this one a 7 out of 10. Later, I watched Sentimental Value, or Affections Verdi, by Joachim Trier. This is a really well-made emotional film about a father who attempts to connect with his daughter via cinema. It didn't really emotionally click with me, but I'm sure it will click for many other people. Someone told me that this film is basically Diet Bergman, and I can't really deny that, but overall we have some fantastic performances from Renata Reinsve and Stellan Skarsgård, 8 out of 10. Then that night, I went to the world premiere of Resurrection by Be Gone, and holy fucking shit, it's the most insane film of the festival. The production design and the cinematography are out of the world, and the story makes zero sense, so much so that not a single person I've talked to, and not a single film critic really knew what the hell they just watched. Either way, this film has haunted my brain for so many days now, and I can't wait to rewatch it. It's a 9 out of 10 for now, but I feel like on a rewatch, it can become a 10 out of 10. Anyways, day 11, I watched The History of Sound by Oliver Hermanus, and it's boring. 4 out of 10. Then I watched Love on Trial, or Renai Saiban by Fukada Koji, and it is a surprisingly weird movie about J-pop idols who wants to be in a relationship and then gets sued by their company. Tsuda Kenjiro is in this movie for some reason, and he's really good. There's a lot of really interesting artistic choices that reminds me of early Yorgos Lanthimos. The second half is a bit boring, but the first half is kind of creepy and foreboding, and it's honestly not a bad film at all. 7 out of 10. Then I watched The Mastermind by Kelly Reichardt at its world premiere. It's a very simple film about Josh O'Connor being an art thief who steals paintings. It's also about how fucked up and sad America is and its systems and how alienating it is to be American. I love the jazzy score and I love the minimalism as well. 8 out of 10. Okay. Finally, day 12 of the festival, I finally watched Die My Love, a new film by Lynn Ramsey. I finally saw this film after 4 attempts. I tried to watch this fucking movie 4 times. Anyways, this is a hell of an insane, aggressive film with lots of sex and violence. This is also easily Jennifer Lawrence's most intense performance to date, and that's all you need to know. Really crazy film, and I really enjoyed it. 9 out of 10. So yeah, these are the movies I watched at Cannes, France this year. If you have been there, tell me what are your favorites. Or if you haven't seen any of these films, let me know which ones are your most anticipated. Comments below let me know. Subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.